Welcome everyone to the 2014 Women's History Month panel featuring women figures from literature of classical Greece. We'll now introduce ourselves with our names, titles, and departments. I'm Marianne Murphy-Sanatana, and I'm a professor in the English department and director of our creative writing program.
And I'm Dr. Pat Reese, and I teach art history.
Elizabeth Blair from the English department. Jan Loff, the Dean of the College of Arts, Letters, and Sciences.
And I'm Connie Gores, I'm the president of SMSU, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm Sarah Myrene Rapana, I'm a poet and editor.
Turn over the mic. I'm Maureen Sander Stout, and I'm assistant professor in philosophy.
And I'm Beth Weatherby, and I'm the provost here, and started out here in the English department, I'm very proud to say. This is too loud.
Great, and I'm Erin Reps. I'm a sociology major and former Greek myth student.
So if we keep this back a little bit, it doesn't do the feedback.
This reading is dedicated to poet and SMSU professor Susan Mcclain, who teaches Greek myth and literature and has organized the SMSU Women's History Month panel for many years. The Best Disguise, Mcclain's first full-length book of poems, was the winner of the 2009 Richard Wilbur Award. Mcclain's second book of poems, The Whetstone Misses the Knife, will be coming out in June 2014 from Storyline Press. Her translations of the selected epigrams of Marshall will be published in late 2014 from the University of Wisconsin Press. She is currently on sabbatical in Rome, translating the poems of Catullus, and we are thrilled for her. We're getting little emails, and she's going to the local farmer's market, and we kind of vicariously are spending our time in Rome with her. Today we'll be reading poems written about the women of Greek myth. Our reading will include poems about Helen of Troy, Venus, Aphrodite, Cassandra, Penelope, Persephone, Medea, and Medusa. We will begin the reading with Mcclain's poem, Greek Tragedy. Greek Tragedy by Susan Mcclain. The gods have a peculiar sense of humor. Their taste in irony is never subtle. If you dismiss their prophecy as rumor, they'll kill your wife and child as their rebuttal. Be wary of the counsel they extend. They'll warn you of what's coming in a riddle, revealing that you'll meet a sticky end, but leaving out some facts about the middle. Although it never pays to have them hate you, it's not much help to have them on your side. If you are in the right, they'll vindicate you, usually just after you have died.
I have Helen of Troy. Helen, whose face launched 1,000 Greek ships, had little choice in the events that propelled her to infamy. Considered the most beautiful woman on earth, she was the prize that dozens of men, the cream of the crop of Greek princes, fought the Trojan War for. Was she abducted, or did she leave her husband and go willingly with Paris, Prince of Troy? The classic stories vary, and so do these poems. Helen, by H.G. All Greece hates the still eyes and the white face, the luster as of olives where she stands, and the white hands. All Greece reviles the wan face when she smiles, hating it deeper still when it grows wan and white, remembering past enchantments and past ills. Greece sees, unmoved, God's daughter, born of love, the beauty of cool feet and the slenderest knees. Could love indeed the maid, if only she were laid, white ash amid funereal cypresses. Helen, by Susan Mcclain. To be the one the lightning singled out is not a gift, even if you survive. Men stare, then look away, and women shout curses behind my back. Dead or alive, I'm doomed to stir their envy and resentment. This beauty is a vacuum, that destroyed love, marriage, motherhood, and all contentment, leaving me floating, airless, in the void of too much choice and none. If I could change, I'd rather be a beggar, hideous, diseased. At least I know how that tale ends. Instead, through rich halls I drift numbly, strange, solitary, like Odysseus, that man of many dodges, and no friends. Helen of Troy does Countertop Dancing by Margaret Atwood. The world is full of women who tell me I should be ashamed of myself if they have the chance. Quit dancing, get some self-respect and a day job. Right. And minimum wage and varicose veins just standing in place for 8 hours behind a glass counter bundled up to the neck instead of naked as a meat sandwich, selling gloves or something. Instead of what I do sell. You have to have talent to peddle a thing so nebulous and without material form. Exploited, they'd say. Yes, any way you cut it, but I have a choice of how, and I'll take the money. I do give value. Like preachers, I sell vision, like perfume ads, desire, or facsimile. Like jokes or war, it's all in the timing. I sell men back their worst suspicions that everything's for sale and piecemeal. They gaze at me and see a chainsaw murder just before it happens, when thigh, ass, inkblot, crevice, tit, and nipple are still connected. Such hatred leaps in them like eerie worshippers, that, or bleary, hopeless love. Seeing the rows of heads and upturned eyes, imploring but ready to snap at my ankles, I understand floods and earthquakes and the urge to step on ants. I keep the beat and dance for them because they can't. The music smells like foxes, crisp as heated metal, searing the nostrils, or humid as August, hazy and languorous as a looted city the day before, when all the rape's been done already, and the killing. And the survivors wander around looking for garbage to eat, and there's only bleak exhaustion. Speaking of which, it's the smiling tires me the most. This and the pretense that I can't hear them, and I can't. Because after all, I'm a foreigner to them. The speech here is all warty, gutturals, obvious as a slap of ham, but I come from the province of the gods, where meetings are lilting and oblique. I don't let on to everyone, but lean close, I'll whisper. My mother was raped by a holy swan. You believe that? You can take me out to dinner. That's what we tell all husbands. There sure are a lot of dangerous birds around. Not that anyone here but you would understand. The rest of them would like to watch me and feel nothing. Reduce me to components as in a clock factory or an avatar. Crush out the mystery. Wall me up alive in my own body. They'd like to see through me. But nothing is more opaque than absolute transparency. Look, my feet don't hit the marble. Like a breath or a balloon, I'm rising. I hover 6 inches in the air in my blazing swan egg of light. You think I'm not a goddess? Try me. This is a torch song. Touch me, and you'll burn.
Venus, Aphrodite. Venus is the Roman name and Aphrodite is the Greek name for the same goddess. Venus Aphrodite, the goddess of love, mother to Cupid, was by some accounts born from Zeus's forehead. In others, she arose full-grown from the sea, as in Botticelli's painting. She lived on the island of Cyprus and was also goddess of the harvest. To Aphrodite by Sappho, a Greek poet who lived on the island of Lesbos around 600 BC. You know the place. Then leave Crete and come to us, waiting where the grove is pleasantest, by precincts sacred to you. Incense smokes on the altar. Cold streams murmur through the apple branches. A young rose thicket shades the ground, and quivering leaves pour down deep sleep. In meadows where horses have grown sleek among spring flowers, dill scents the air. Queen, Cyprian, fill our gold cups with love, stirred into clear nectar. Venus's Looking Glass by Christina Rossetti. I marked where lovely Venus and her court with song and dance and merry laugh went by. Weightless, their wingless feet seemed made to fly, bound from the ground and in mid-air to sport. Left far behind, I heard the dolphin snort, tracking their goddess with a wistful eye, around whose head white doves rose wheeling high, or low and cooed after their tender sort. All this I saw in spring. Through summer's heat, I saw the lovely queen of love no more. But when flushed autumn through the woodlands went, I spied sweet Venus walk amidst the wheat, whom seeing every harvester gave o'er his toil, and laughed and hoped and was content. Venus Transience by Amy Lowell. Tell me, was Venus more beautiful than you are when she topped the crinkled waves drifting shoreward on a plated shell? Was Botticelli's vision fairer than mine? And were the painted rosebuds he tossed his lady of better worth than the words I blow about you to cover your too great loveliness as with a gauze of misted silver? For me, you stand poised in the blue and buoyant air, cinctured by bright winds, treading the sunlight, and the waves which precede you ripple and stir the sands at my feet.
Cassandra. Cassandra was the daughter of the king of Troy. To win her love, the god Apollo gave her the gift of prophecy, but when she rejected him, he decreed that no one should believe her prophecies. When she warned the Trojans about the wooden horse, they ignored her and lost the war. Cassandra by Louise Bogan. To me, one silly task is like another. I bear the shambling tricks of lust and pride. This flesh will never give a child its mother. Song like a wing tears through my breast, my side, and madness chooses out my voice again. I am the chosen, no hand saves. The shrieking heaven lifted over man, not the dumb earth wherein they set their graves. Cassandra by Susan Mcclain. Because I turned him down, the god Apollo cursed me with sight. The gift of art is not the kind you can refuse. No matter what you do or fail to do, the scenes will follow you everywhere, assault you in your dreams. Even if you could turn yourself to wood, he'd force your hardened fingertips to bud and make a garland of your silent screams. You don't believe me? Though I've heard you sneer and call me crazy, still you'd have me offer forecasts of the future. Apropos of your young daughter, would you like to hear what day she'll die and everything she'll suffer? I thought not. No one really wants to know. Cassandra by Robinson Jeffers. The mad girl with the staring eyes and long white fingers hooked in the stones of the wall, the storm-racked hair and screeching mouth. Does it matter, Cassandra, whether the people believe your bitter fountain? Truly, men hate the truth. They'd leave for meet a tiger on the road. Therefore the poets honey their truth with lying. But religion, vendors, and political men pour from the barrel new lies on the old and are praised for kind wisdom. Poor bitch, be wise. No, you'll still mumble in a corner a crust of truth to men and gods. Disgusting, you and I, Cassandra.
In Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus' wife Penelope, during the 20 years he was away at the Trojan War, warded off 50 suitors by telling them she would pick one of them once she was done weaving a web that she unraveled again each night. She is generally portrayed as the epitome of the faithful wife. But was she? The Wife of the Man of Many Wiles by A.E. Stallings. Believe what you want to. Believe that I wove, if you wish, 20 years and waited while you were knee-deep in blood, hip-deep in goddesses. I'm not much to show for 20 years weaving. I have but one unfinished cloth at the womb. Perhaps it's the lengthy, meticulous grieving. Explain how you want to. Believe I unraveled at night what I stitched in the slow siesta, how I kept them all waiting for me to finish. The suitors, you call them. Believe what you want to. Believe that they waited for me to finish. Believe I beguiled them with nightly undoings. Believe what you want to, that they never touched me. Believe your own stories, as you would have me do, how you only survived by the wise infidelities. Believe that each day you wrote me a letter that never arrived. Kill all the damn suitors if you think it will make you feel better. Penelope by Caroline Duffy. At first I looked along the road, hoping to see him saunter home among the olive trees, a whistle for the dog who mourned him with his warm head on my knees. 6 months of this, and then I noticed that whole days had passed without my noticing. I sorted cloth and scissors, needle and thread, thinking to amuse myself, but found a lifetime's industry instead. I sewed a girl under a single star, cross-stitch, silver silk, running after childhood's bouncing ball. I choose between 3 greens for the grass, a smoky pink, a shadow's gray, to show a snapdragon gargling a bee. I threaded walnut brown for a tree, my thimble like an acorn pushing up through umber soil. Beneath the shade, I wrapped a maiden in a deep embrace with heroism's boy, and lost myself completely in a wild embroidery of love, lust, lost, lessons learned. Then watched him sail away into the loose gold stitching of the sun. And when the others came to take his place, disturb my peace, I played for time. I wore a widow's face, kept my head down, did my work by day, at night unpicked it. I knew which hour of the dark the moon would start to fray. I stitched it. Gray threads in brown pursued my needle's leaping fish to form a river that would never reach the sea. I tricked it. I was picking out the smile of a woman at the center of this world, self-contained, absorbed, content, most certainly not waiting. When I heard a far too late familiar tread outside the door, I licked my scarlet thread and aimed it surely at the middle of the needle's eye once more. And Penelope by Dorothy Parker. Some of us know about Dorothy Parker, who is an American. In the pathway of the sun, in the footsteps of the breeze, where the world and sky are one, he shall ride the silver seas. He shall cut the glittering wave. I shall sit at home and rock, rise to heed a neighbor's knock, brew my tea and sip my thread, bleach the linen for my bed. They will call him brave. Brave little soul, little perpetually undressed one. Do now as I bid you, Climb the shelf-like branches of the spruce tree. Wait at the top, attentive, like a sentry or lookout. He will be home soon. It behooves you to be generous. You have not been completely perfect either, with your troublesome body. You have done things you shouldn't discuss in poems. Therefore, call out to him over the open water, over the bright water, with your dark song, with your grasping, unnatural song, passionate like Maria Callas. Who wouldn't want you? Whose most demonic appetite could you possibly fail to answer? Soon he will return from wherever he goes in the meantime, suntanned from his time away, wanting his grilled chicken. Ah, you must greet him. You must shake the boughs of the tree to get his attention. But carefully, carefully, lest his beautiful face be marred by too many falling leaves.
Persephone, the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, or Ceres in the Roman, was abducted by Hades. Because she ate a pomegranate seed while in the underworld, thus partly consenting to her abduction, she was condemned to live some months above ground and the rest of the time below. This is the origin of our seasons, winter and summer. Hades in Love by Susan Mcclain. Persephone's mother Demeter is being addressed here by Hades. You claim that I had no right to abscond with your young daughter's slender, blooming body. Flowers, you know, are rooted in the ground. She was half mine already. How could I take her loveliness and youth to live in Stygian dark, deprived of day, her peach-bloom cheek corpse pale as queen of death? She knew the price of joy, and you don't. Though you wail how much you love her and want her back in bliss that never fades. How did I make her stay? What did I give her? A handful of ruby seeds. This is Persephone Falling by Rita Dove. One narcissus among the ordinary beautiful flowers, one unlike the others, she stooped to pull harder, when, sprung out of the earth on his glittering, terrible carriage, he claimed his due. It is finished. No one heard her. No one. She had strayed from the herd. Remember, go straight to school. This is important. Stop fooling around. Don't answer to strangers. Stick with your playmates. Keep your eyes down. This is how easily the pit opens. This is how one foot sinks into the ground. This is winter correspondence, and I wrote it. Demeter to Persephone. You pulled that man up like a root, snake-limbed, sulfuric, old, and followed him down south, foolish as a thresher tilling snow. I wrist-tested sunlight, microwaved Lake Huron in a bowl, still, your toes grew icicles. He offered rugs that melted snow. You write, call me a chainsaw. True, when I try to coo, I growl, but saplings don't run when groves rumble. They sprinkle leaves like snow. Winter's my new daughter. In our kitchen, sleet blows. No lust can smolder hot enough to soften her bricks of snow. I soak cod in birch ash, won't eat. I toss lutefisk to crows and shiver. I cough up blizzards, spreading viruses of snow. I do jumping jacks lying down, my second go at molding angels. Both times, dear girl, I've failed. I've just built walls of snow. For you, I'd drive as far as I could go, tire chains groaning road to road, but I fear your trail's gone cold. It died in drifts of snow. Persephone to Demeter. Your email says you've chilled the tussock sedge, taught it not to grow, that the bow saw of you, mother, carves angels from hard-packed snow. You grew me like your pear tree, Boughs split, espaliate, and rose like candelabras. My elbows shook in sleeves as crisp as snow. They say your new child's frigid, throws fits, falls to the ground and groans, no matter how your twilight skirts shush across her cheeks of snow. I wish I'd met my winter sister. We'd make forts of pillows and fjords, but if I'm home, she'll vanish like dimes dropped in snow. You say my love's a combine that tries to throttle grain from snow. It's true. Though wheat frosts over, love works that field down to its bones. I dial your number, Mama. I tap Morse code into the phone. I just hear static. Your lines are down. They died in drifts of snow. And this is The Pomegranate by the Irish poet Evan Boland. The only legend I have ever loved is the story of a daughter lost in hell and found and rescued there. Love and blackmail are the gist of it. Ceres and Persephone, the names. And the best thing about the legend is I can enter it anywhere, and have. As a child in exile in a city of fogs and strange consonants, I read it first, and at first I was an exiled child. In the crackling dusk of the underworld, the stars blighted. Later, I walked out in a summer twilight, searching for my daughter at bedtime. When she came running, I was ready to make any bargain to keep her. I carried her back past white beams and wasps and honey-scented buglias. But I was Ceres then, and I knew winter was in store for every leaf on every tree on that road, was inescapable for each one we passed, and for me. It is winter and the stars are hidden. I climb the stairs and stand where I can see my child asleep beside her teen magazines, her can of Coke, her plate of uncut fruit. The pomegranate. How did I forget it? She could have come home and been safe and ended the story and all our heartbroken searching, but she reached out a hand and plucked a pomegranate. She put out her hand and pulled down the French sound for apple and the noise of stone and the proof that even in the place of death, at the heart of legend, in the midst of rocks full of unshed tears, ready to be diamonds by the time the story was told, a child can be hungry. I could warn her. There's still a chance. The rain is cold. The road is flint-colored. The suburb has cars and cable television. The veiled stars are above ground. It is another world. But what else can a mother give her daughter but such beautiful rifts in time? If I defer the grief, I will diminish the gift. The legend will be hers as well as mine. She will have it. She will enter it as I have. She will wake up. She will hold the papery, flushed skin in her hand, and to her lips, I will say nothing.
Medea. Medea was a priestess of hell who helped Jason of the Argonauts win the Golden Fleece. They married, but when Jason discarded her later in order to wed the young daughter of King Creon, she revenged herself by poisoning his new bride and killing her two young children, both fathered by Jason. The first poem is Aftermath by Sylvia Plath. Compelled by calamity's magnet, they loiter and stare as if the house burnt out were theirs, or as if they thought some scandal might any minute ooze from a smoke-choked closet into light. No deaths, no prodigious injuries. Glut these hunters after an old meat, blood spore of the austere tragedies. Mother Medea in a green smock moves humbly as any housewife through her ruined apartments, taking stock of shard shoes, the sodden upholstery, cheated of the pyre and the rack. The crowd sucks her last tear and turns away. Medea by Susan Mcclain. You might have guessed I wasn't fond of children back when I carved my brother up. But then, with Father chasing us, it caused a good delay. Besides, I wasn't in the mood to listen to the pampered darling whine. To be sent home, he needed discipline. And as for your new bride, you might have known I'd wind up sending her a poison down rather than plead and grovel in repentance. You should have seen the little trollop dance as acid ate her flesh down to the bone. I gave you all I had, and now it's gone. So take these two, my final sacrifice to your ambition, lust, and avarice. Your sons, my bloody masterpiece. They were the one remaining knot that held me here. Don't take it as a personal affront. Some women do what you'd expect. Some don't. The photos by Diane Workowski. My sister, in her well-tailored silk blouse, hands me the photo of my father in naval uniform and white hat. I say, "Oh, is this the one which Mama used to have on her dresser?" My sister controls her face and furtively looks at my mother. A sad rag bag of a woman, lumpy and sagging everywhere, like a mattress at the Salvation Army, but with no holes or tears, and says, "No." I look again and see that my father is wearing a wedding ring, which he never did when he lived with my mother, and that there is a legend on it, "To my dearest wife, Love Chief." And I realize this photo must have belonged to his second wife, whom he left our mother to marry. My mother says, with her face as still as the whole unpopulated part of the state of North Dakota, "May I see it too?" She looks at it. I look at my tailored sister and my own blue jean self. Have we wanted to hurt our mother, sharing these pictures on this, one of the few days I ever visit or spend with family? For her face is curiously haunted, not now with her usual viperish bitterness, but with something so deep it could not be spoken. I turn away and say I must go on as I have a dinner engagement with friends. But I drive all the way to Pasadena from Whittier, thinking of my mother's face, how I could never love her, how my father could not love her either. Yet, knowing I have inherited the rag bag body, stony face with bulldog jaws, I drive thinking of that face, Jeffers, California Medea, who inspired me to poetry. I killed my children, but there, as I am changing lanes on the freeway, necessarily glancing in the rearview mirror, I see the face. Not even a ghost, but always with me, like a photo in a beloved's wallet. How I hate my destiny.
Medusa. One of the Gorgons had snakes for hair. Men who looked at her were turned into stone. According to the Roman poet Ovid, she was raped by Poseidon, the god of the sea, in Athena's temple, and Athena punished her, rather than Poseidon, for this sacrilege by turning her into a Gorgon. Is this all right? Medusa by Carol Ann Duffy. A suspicion, a doubt, a jealousy grew in my mind, which turned the hairs on my head into filthy snakes, as though my thoughts hissed and spat on my scalp. My bride's breath soured, stank in the gray bags of my lungs. I'm foul-mouthed now, foul-tongued, yellow-fanged. There are bullet tears in my eyes. Are you terrified? Be terrified. It's you I love, perfect man, Greek god of my own. But I know you'll go, betray me, stray from home. So better by far for me if you were stone. I glanced at a buzzing bee, a dull gray pebble fell to the ground. I glanced at a singing bird, a handful of dusty gravel spattered down. I looked at a ginger cat, a housebrick shattered a bowl of milk. I looked at a snuffling pig, a boulder rolled in a heap of shit. I stared in the mirror. Love gone bad showed me a Gorgon. I stared at a dragon, fire spewed from the mouth of a mountain. And here you come, with a shield for a heart and a sword for a tongue, and your girls, your girls. Wasn't I beautiful? Wasn't I fragrant and young? Look at me now. The Muse as Medusa by May Sarton. I saw you once, Medusa. We were alone. I looked you straight in the cold eye, cold. I was not punished, was not turned to stone. How to believe the legends I am told? I came as naked as any little fish, prepared to be hooked, gutted, caught. And I saw you, Medusa, made my wish. And when I left you, I was clothed in thought. Being allowed perhaps to swim my way through the great deep and on the rising tide, flashing wild streams as free and rich as they, though you had power marshaled on your side. The fish escaped to many a magic reef. The fish explored many a dangerous sea. The fish, Medusa, did not come to grief, but swims still in a fluid mystery. Forget the image. Your silence is my ocean, and even now it teems with life. You chose to abdicate by total lack of motion, but did it work? For nothing truly froze. It is all fluid still, that world of feeling where thoughts, those fishes, silent, feed and rove, and fluid is also full of healing, for love is healing, even ruthless love. I turn your face around, it is my face. That frozen rage is what I must explore. O secret, self-enclosed and ravaged place, this is the gift I thank Medusa for. And Medusa by Louise Bogan. I had come to the house in a cave of trees facing a sheer sky. Everything moved. A bell hung ready to strike, sun and reflection wheeled by. When the bare eyes were before me and the hissing hair held up at a window seen through a door. The stiff bald eyes, the serpents on the forehead, formed in the air. This is a dead scene forever now. Nothing will ever stir. The end will never brighten it more than this, nor the rain blur. The water will always fall and will not fall, and the tipped bell makes no sound. The grass will always be growing for hay deep on the ground. And I shall stand here like a shadow under the great balanced day, my eyes on the yellow dust that was lifting in the wind and does not drift away.
Elizabeth? Professor Elizabeth Blair's student from her fall 2013 Greek Myth and Literature class, Erin Repp, will complete our reading with her short cycle of poems about Homer's women. She wrote them as a class project.
A force to be reckoned with. Poems on the women of Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. In the midst of fighting, treacherous war, a hope is abiding, that soon and no more. In the midst of uncertainty, days, years, a woman is waiting, shedding many tears. In the midst of vanity, pride, and jealousy, goddesses plot in order to be. In the midst of manipulation and magic, a tale is told that borders on that of tragic. In the midst of time, a force drives on, love, lust, and pride, what characters are built upon. In the midst of a world run by men, a group continues on who have been. In the midst of the actions of their male counterparts, a storyteller named Homer set these characters apart. In the midst of a story, an epic it would seem, women are held in most high esteem. Thetis, the mother of Achilles, the pain of knowing. Life often comes to a changing of tides, a point of decision, a fork in the road. We weigh our options and choose a path. Does knowing the path's dangers make the decision easier or harder? A mother looks out for her children. She watches, she warns, she comforts. She is selfless and selfish, not wanting her son to suffer. Given the gift of knowledge, the pain of knowing, glory in death, or longevity in life, warning given and unheeded, a son's decision, a mother's heartbreak, forever loved, but forever apart. Hera, Zeus's wife and the goddess of marriage, a scorned wife, questioning, suspicious, always watching. What is he doing? Who is he with? Why? Vengeful, jealous. She is his, yet he is not hers. She plots, she strikes, in hopes of teaching a lesson. They argue, they settle, they begin again. Aphrodite, mistress of manipulation. Beauty is her weapon, love her specialty. Like a puppeteer without difficulty, she pulls the strings of affection in an intricate dance of deception. Helen, a life of second chances. Given beauty, a title most coveted, most beautiful woman in the world. Given the chance to run away to a far-off place. Given the chance at a love affair, to leave those she knew behind. Given a war for her hand, nation against nation, man against man. Given guilt, a feeling so strong, unfaithfulness, betrayal, and disloyalty. Given blood for her actions, thousands upon thousands dead at her hand. Given the chance to return home, back to her loved ones and back to her own. Given the chance to begin again, not once, but twice, and eventually, perhaps, again. Penelope, bound together. Two hearts bound together in love, one journeys on, the other forced to stay at home. A life of hardship awaits the two. At home, a world of responsibility, a world of temptation, a world of uncertainty, a world of faithfulness. Waiting for the impossible, hoping against hope, watching for a sign, holding on for news, buying time, always believing. Athena, warrior goddess of wisdom, one of many titles. The goddess of war, help in a time of need, planning, plotting, fighting. The guardian of Odysseus, strength in a time of weakness, encouraging, pushing, rallying. Daughter of Zeus, wisdom in a time of uncertainty, counseling, directing, guiding. To end. So much more could be said of these tales, for you see they have many details, but every aspect has earned my respect, and so have these complex females.
Thank you all very much for joining us today.